What is going on, you guys? It's your boy Bleed, and I'm here with my man Al Mack. It's the Odds HQ and odds.com recap UFC 257. Oh my goodness, Al Mack. I am still in shock at what we just saw. Unreal. Dustin Poirier with the upset takes out Conor McGregor in the second round. Co-main event, Michael Chandler ices Dan Hooker. Oh, no, Al. We got a lot to talk about here, man. This co-main event, tons of underdogs hit, tons of incredible action, fights finishing left and right. It was an incredible night. I don't think anybody saw it being this wacky and wild. But if you did, man, you probably made some really good money because some underdogs came through. Al, hit us with those numbers.
Yeah, so the underdogs went 6-5 for 6.44 units profit. So if you bet $100 on every dog tonight, you're up $640. And 6 out of 11 fights went the distance for plus 2.13 units on that prop, and the over went 9-2 for plus 2.26 units. And I believe that 15 of the last, I'll see, I got the number here. 15 of the 35 fights this year have gone the distance. 15 of 25. 21 of 35 fights have gone the distance. That's what it is. Sorry. 21 of the first 35 fights this year have gone the distance. And if you bet fight goes the distance on every single fight this year, $100, you'd be up $1,000, $1,034 this year. So fights are going the distance left and right, but then we're also seeing some wild finishes. It's been 2021 has been crazy already, man.
Dude, I'm telling you what, it's just astounding. Well, let's get into it, man. First fight kicking off the main card. Big underdog hit. Marina Rodriguez, 54 seconds into round 2. TKO's Amanda Ribas. Very controversial, very funky finish there. Essentially, the fight was finished 2 different times. Herb Dean, I don't know what to say, man. Seems to be slacking, letting a lot of people take damage. That was very weird. Here's the deal, though, man. That fight, Amanda Ribas, the minus 325 favorite. And I got to tell you what, I had her in a parlay, man. I really thought she was going to get it done. And she came out there in that first round and did exactly what she needed to do. Engaged minimally on the feet, hit the takedowns, looked great. We know Marina Rodriguez when first off, she's got terrible takedown defense. But when you take her down, she's terrible off her back. She can't get up. Ribas has the jiu-jitsu to keep her down on the mat, right? Looks good in the first round. Comes out in the second round, stands with her just too long. You know what I mean? Marina Rodriguez, we know she's a super deadly striker. Hits her with some crazy shots, hurts her so bad. Basically makes her face plant, jumps on her, lands some more shots. Herb Dean kind of comes in but never stops the fight. Marina Rodriguez walks away. Herb Dean says the fight's still on. Ribas gets back to her feet. Marina Rodriguez jumps on her, hits her with some more big-time shots. Herb Dean jumps in and says, okay, now the fight's over. What do you think of this one, Al?
Yeah, and what's even more interesting, and let's talk about this first. What's even more interesting was how most of the people who paid good hard-earned money to see this fight didn't get to see it because of the great technological advances of ESPN Plus. So that was disappointing because a lot of people, because it was such a quick finish, I know that a lot of people tuned in as soon as it happened and were just so confused about what was going on with Herb Dean allowing the fight to continue after Marina Rodriguez was already celebrating. That was just so amateur. I just, that was inexcusable. And I feel like we're talking about this every single time we do this show. Every single time we're doing this, we're talking about Herb Dean doing something stupid. It was the first fight on ABC, the infamous first fight on ABC where he let Todorovic get just beaten up. It was just ridiculous. I don't know. I feel like they're intentionally placing him to start these cards just to like get controversy or to get fights that shouldn't go as long as they go. Just ridiculous. But yeah, Rodriguez plus 315. She closed out on the money line, and then listen to this, plus 1425 to win by TKO, and 11-1 inside the distance.
Crazy numbers. Yeah, man. I don't know what to say though. Like here's what I'll say. Amanda Ribas, I kind of feel like she just got caught. She got hurt. Rodriguez is dangerous. The 2 losses on Amanda Ribas's record now are KOs though. So maybe we need to question her chin. But man, when the fight goes to the mat, she does look phenomenal. Here's the big problem though with Marina Rodriguez, dude. Like, we know she still has all these shortcomings. Like we saw it in the first round. Yeah. I think this is one of those chicks that it's like, unless she's a giant underdog, you can't bet her, but you can't bet against her either, because on the feet, I think she is truly, like, she might be the most dangerous striker in the division as far as women go. You know what I mean? Like, she carries just some incredible power, hits so long and hard. Like, it's just crazy, man. Like, she's just tough to back, though. I mean, can you really take someone that just has no takedown defense and no get-up game to speak of? It's crazy, man. And of course, it's going to be match specific. Let's get her in there with, like a pure striker. She's going to be favored, and she's probably going to win the fight, right? But if you can grapple with her and stay safe and not eat those, big shots, you have a legit chance to beat her. So, real tough read. I don't know what we have with her. I don't know if we're going to be able to bet her what the deal is. But like I said, matchup specific. We'll figure it out, right?
Yeah.
All right. Do you have anything you want to say about this before we move on to the next one?
No, like this is one of those ones, the under 2.5 cashed at plus 175, and I was on the under, but like, a bunch of fights that happened on this card, the under cash, but it wasn't the way that I thought it was going to. So again, another theme of this card.
No kidding. And you want to talk cash-in, baby. Oh, Mahmoud Muradov with the KO. More like a TKO. 2 minutes, 59 seconds of the third round over Andrew Sanchez. Well, I got to tell you, Al, I'm real happy about this one, man. I had a straight play on Mahmoud Muradov. I was honestly surprised to see the value on Mahmoud Muradov. I felt like he should have been the favorite. I felt like he should have been favored more significantly than he was, minus 200 or better, which is, I think, when the fight went off, that's about where he was. But all week he sat, right in that like minus 150, minus 165-ish range. And I just felt like that was a great bet, So there's a straight play that I hit on the main card. He was just the better fighter, man. Just the crisper striker, speed advantage, just, the better technique, the better boxing. Honestly, just better everywhere, Mahmoud Muradov, don't sleep on this guy. I think he's going to be a far bigger favorite in the future. Of course, depending on who he's matched up against. But, man, really high ceiling. I like this guy a lot. What'd you think of this one, Al?
Yeah, it felt like he took a little bit of time to start to get going, but once he got going, it was it was all she wrote. The thing about this fight is that I was betting Muradov, but I kind of didn't like the price. So I was like, one of those ones I was putting it aside to find another play to parlay it with, and then I was looking at the under in this fight too. The under 2.5 cashed at plus 130. So I was just like, the parlay is you bet you bet Mahmoud inside the distance, right? So inside the distance and by TKO, those cashed both at like plus 2 to 1, 2 to 1 or higher. And that was just it was a no-brainer, and to be completely honest, there was a bit of a sweat. Like there was a bit of a sweat where I thought he was maybe going to end up getting the decision. Kind of Andrew Sanchez he didn't. It wasn't a quit job. He just like he was just getting beat up, and he was like, this is past the point of sport at this point.
Oh yeah, hey, listen, it was no quit job. There's no Listen, if that was some acting, his baby deer legs routine is absolutely on point. Because if you guys remember, man, he ate a shot and was like teetering around. Looked like what did he look like, man? He looked like what I imagine somebody if they had lost their legs and he had like wooden legs that you had never tried out before. I don't know, but it was rough, man. He ate that hard shot. Mahmoud jumps on him. Props to Mahmoud. Looks to have a bright future. Even showed us a little bit of a wrestling angle in that. Shooting for the takedowns, which I think it was Paul Felder that said, listen, or maybe it was Cormier saying, even if he doesn't get these takedowns, it still adds that element of defense to Sanchez where he starts lowering his hands, thinking that that's a possibility. He leaves you more susceptible to the striking, and that's where Mahmoud wants to do. So that was a great fight, man. I think we're ready to move on. Like I said, had a bet on Mahmoud. Love that. Love to cash that one. Next fight of the night, Joanne Calderwood, decision win over Jessica Ai. This is one that pretty much went how I saw going. We talked about on the Friday show that Calderwood, is probably going to be able to come out here. And if the fight stays standing, it's just going to outpoint Jessica Ai. And that's just truly what happened. It was a numbers game fully. Even when she gets tired, she's just continuously putting shots out there, kicks up the middle. 1-2 is just incredible output from Calderwood, and it's always there. If Jessica Ai was going to win this fight, it needed to be by taking the fight to the ground. Really never attempted that many takedowns. I think the fight got to the ground, got to the ground eventually, but she works her way back up. I abandons the takedowns. Calderwood touches her up, cruises to an easy decision win.
Yeah, it was interesting. She throws that high leg kick like effortlessly. Like she does it like she's like swinging her hair. But this was a great fight. Like there was a lot of people that were discounting this being, the third last fight on the card. I loved this fight. This fight was so entertaining. This was like a female hockey fight. There was
bad blood.
Oh yeah, there was bad blood and like a lot of skill. Like Joanne went off. Like and it was dirty at times. There's a little bit of hair pulling, a little bit of eye raking. Cormier, I guess he's never seen Joanne fight where he was just like, it looks like she's got something wrong with her eye, and it's just like, no, that's how she looks. Like,
he goes at one point. He goes, well, and it's funny too because it's like I think he realized he's entering a very strange territory where he needs to really choose his words wisely, and he's like, her eyes, they're like, yeah. I think they're small. Like, you know what I mean? So,
dude, it was
hilarious stuff from Cormier there. But
I laughed out loud. I was just
I did too.
That's how she looks. Like, what the fuck are you talking about?
Exactly. I don't. I'll tell you what, though. I am a little bit disappointed in myself. I felt like, Calderwood by decision was totally the clear-cut way this was going to play out, and I passed. You know what I mean? So, a little bit disappointed there. I probably should have pulled the trigger, but I didn't. And what do you know? It happens. What are you going to do?
I got it
on this now.
Yeah, I had Jessica Ai, and it was one of those things that was purely a numbers play, based on just what I perceived as the value. And it was the wrong play, and that became evident very quickly. And it was one of those ones where I matched the dog with fight goes the distance no, because I thought one of these, because such bad blood, I felt like one of these ladies is going to get a finish. It is what it was. I bet small, and it was one of those ones where I was wrong. And I've talked about this before where like I was wrong, but I got to see something awesome, so it wasn't like the worst thing. You know what I mean? It wasn't terrible. It was the price of admission. And like Joanne Calderwood put on a show. I thought she looked amazing. She looks better. She looked better than she has in a very long time.
She just throws it, man. Yeah. I mean, they're both kind of old, 34 and 35, but will either be a champion. I'm gonna tell you no. But Calderwood looking for a pretty big fight, coming off. She was due for a title shot, kind of blew it with the Maya fight, but bounces back with this win over Jessica Ai, which not the most impressive win, but hey, a win nonetheless. So that takes us to the co-main event. Oh, no, man. I know this one's painful for both of us. We both like Dan Hooker a lot in this spot. But Michael Chandler, 2 minutes and 30 seconds, literally the midway mark of the first round. Let's just call it a KO. There's no TKO about it. I mean, hits Dan Hooker with an incredible hook, puts him down, just jumps on him, pounds him out. Wow. You know, Michael Chandler, I felt like had such a narrow path to victory here. You know, so undersized. He had to get inside and land that big shot on Dan Hooker or potentially use, you know, a wrestling-based strategy. Well, he got inside. And honestly, the first time he got inside, he found his mark, you know. Hooker, you know, starts the fight off, you know, circling away from that power of Michael Chandler, you know. I think he knows Michael Chandler is very dangerous early. It's just a very compact, hard-hitting dude. So, you know, I felt like there was a lot of a feeling out process with Hooker where he just wanted to avoid that big danger, that big power of Chandler. You know, I felt like Hooker was not putting a ton of output out, but I felt like was winning the fight, and he was absolutely frustrating Chandler to start the fight as well. But I mean, 2 minutes and 30 seconds into the fight, Michael Chandler just kind of goes for it, works his way in, you know, throws a long combination and just throws one massive hook, hurts Hooker, which props to him, man, because who have we ever seen really put Hooker down with one shot? This dude eats damage like crazy. Chandler hits him with the shot. Maybe we're seeing some after effects of that war with Poirier. But man, puts him down. Like I said, jumps on him, finishes him. What do you think, Al?
I feel like there's so much to unpack with this fight. But I feel like the thing with that punch is like he threw his whole body into it. So it was almost like a push as well. Like, you know, like it wasn't just the strike. It was just like he was pushing his whole body towards him, you know. It was like, because Hooker wasn't out cold. He was just knocked down,
right,
and followed up. But like the camera went to him and he was fine. He was sitting there like he wasn't fine, but he was, you know, he wasn't unconscious. So it was one of those ones where it was just a great punch, landed perfectly, but it didn't knock him out. And you know, you're right. Like Hooker, I feel like Hooker was trying to play this long game. You know, he was trying to get him into this, you know, he was trying to play him out to be like a 15-minute fight. And Chandler's game plan was just, I'm going to go in there. I'm going to fake takedowns, and I'm just going to do exactly, I'm going to go for that big high punch when he thinks I'm going to go for a takedown. And it executed perfectly. And it's interesting. The underdogs in lightweight have been just completely destroying it. You know, considering, so Chandler went off. Chandler cashed at plus 140, plus 600 by TKO, which is pretty interesting. So yeah, Chandler went off plus 140, and then, you know, the next fight that we're going to talk about. So the underdogs in lightweight have been just completely destroying it, and the under even as well, which is so interesting. This is a weird division, man. It's starting to get like really, really, really like, you know, there was talk about, you know, the lightweight division in the UFC is the best division of combat sports, like a couple, like in 2018, 2019. But like now we're getting the point where like now Conor's just another guy. You got Michael Chandler in there. You know, you got Dan Hooker, who like, that was just a bad fight. Like it was just so interesting. Like you put Hooker in there with any of those top 5 guys, you still got a good fight. I don't think Hooker's done. That he just caught him. He just got him with a big shot that was executed perfectly.
Well, I tell you what, Al, you're talking about Hooker being done. I don't know if you heard this. Hooker threw his gloves back in the octagon walking out. Now, I don't know if you're familiar with what symbolically that means, but when you leave your gloves in the octagon and walk out, that means you're done. It's over. Now, I don't know, man. Hooker's still a young dude. You think, I mean, he's very talented, right? It doesn't seem like he'd retire, but who knows, man? Maybe he just doesn't feel it. You know, maybe he just doesn't think he has it anymore. I don't know. Here's one thing that I'm definitely a little bit irked about. So I had the bet on Hooker, obviously lost that, but man, sometimes you get a feeling before a fight, and I could tell when those guys walked in that octagon, I just had that feeling there was no way this fight was going to make it to the scorecards. You talked about that plus money under. Dang, I wish I would have hit that, dude. I feel like I totally missed a legit spot there. You know, it was one of those things that during the week I felt like it could have been a war and ended up playing out, but man, you know, and of course hindsight's 2020, but even before that fight started, I could just feel in the energy like we were so due for just I guess a dramatic finish, and there it was. I felt like so missed that one, but what are you gonna do? You know, can't win them all, I guess.
Yeah, I'll say
about this before we talk about this insane main event.
Yeah, I'll just say one of the best plays for me tonight was in the lead up to you know, they were showing the promos, and the promos were awesome tonight. I'll say that the you know, the video clips before all the fight, they were very like they reminded me of Ryzen. They reminded me of like ONE FC. They were really like you know, Asian-esque, like with a lot of graphics and stuff like that. It was really cool.
I liked it.
I just took a look at the under, and like, you know, the under sat around like minus 105, minus 110. It jumped around, you know, it was a split line on the minus 2.5, but around closing time you can get plus money. And I was like, I'm gonna bet the under because I bet heavily on Hooker. So I was like, I'm gonna bet the same amount that I bet on Hooker on the under as a, you know, kind of as a hedge. And if Hooker wins this fight, you know, there's a good chance he's going to win it inside the distance. And it ended up working. It was just not the way that I had planned. So I covered a loss with I basically, you know, I got plus 110 on the under, and I bet the same amount on Hooker. So I actually made, you know, a tenth of a unit. So it is what it is. It was definitely not what I saw coming, and I guess Michael Chandler is the real deal, apparently.
Yeah, boy, I tell you what, I think we're going to find out because coming off a knockout like that, he's getting a tremendously huge fight. Who that's going to be, I'm not sure yet, but man, Michael Chandler, and you know, he's 35 years old, so he needs to go now. You know, it's now or never. So he appears to be going for it. You know, he absolutely went for it tonight, and wow, look at the dividends. You know, Poirier seems to think it's not going to be him versus Chandler next, but let's just let that lead us into this next one, man. Unreal. I mean, don't get me wrong. I can understand Poirier winning the fight, but in the second round, I thought it was going to be – I thought at fourth or fifth round, Poirier had a shot. Dustin Poirier, a devastating 2 minutes and 32 seconds into round number 2 for me because I had the under, and yes, that's right. The under does not cash by 2 seconds. That's got to be the worst over-under beat I've ever had in my life. But Dustin Poirier does what I just am. Like I said, I'm shocked. Takes out Conor McGregor in the second round. Incredible stuff. The calf kick is the name of the game here. Conor even said in the post-fight he never really experienced it. Poirier brings it. You can tell it's affecting Conor. He can't move. He can't strike. Conor has a pretty decent first round, though, even eating some brutal calf kicks, you know, lands some good shots. Poirier lands some good counters as well, but a very close first round. I'd like to see the judges' scorecards, who they even scored it for. I felt like it was that close. You know, Conor hurt Dustin at some point. Dustin mentions this in the post-fight press conference, but Conor just never really jumps on him, you know. Conor allowing himself to engage the up against the cage antics, you know. Props to Poirier to come out there, you know, shoot some takedowns, hold him up against the cage, you know, take that Conor McGregor coming out there and getting that 60-second finish and just throw that out the window. Don't even make that possible by playing this game. And then just enacts his game plan. I'll come out and say it, man. Flawless performance by Dustin Poirier. Incredible coaching, incredible game planning, and just hats off to Dustin Poirier. And guess what? Hats off to my man, Al Mack, who said it the whole way. He's on Poirier. Poirier gets it done. Al Mack, it's your time to shine, my man.
Look, I would like to sit here and say, you know, I told you so. But, you know, this was not the way that I envisioned it. The way I envisioned it, and like I will say this, odds.com, my man Adam Martin from BJ Penn, who's wrote some pieces for us about this. We had this lined up the moment that this fight was announced, the moment that we knew what was going to happen, early January. Dustin's going to be a huge dog. And, we were all over it. We thought there was going to be value. The steam would come in on Conor late, which actually didn't happen, which is interesting. I don't know if you saw the guy who bet the $200,000 on Poirier at like plus 240. So like that steamed, like that ruined everything. I was sitting here and I said, like, when we were here on Wednesday, I said, I'm going to wait for that, that plus 290, plus 300. And, offshore, you could get that. But like, with the big bucks where you can get some big money down, it didn't go really past like plus 255, or actually, no, I'm wrong. Oh yeah, but that's an offshore. So he closed offshore plus 280. But the book that I got, he didn't go anywhere higher than like plus 255. And I was expecting it, he was as high as like plus 290 at one point earlier today. But somebody came in on DraftKings and dropped a heavy, the price of a decent house in a small town. And, now he has 2.9 decent houses in small towns right. Because of Dustin Poirier. And like, look, man, the value is there. It's just, there's so many things. Conor is now 3-3 in his past 6 professional MMA fights, 3-4 if you count the Mayweather fight. There was just so many things that made it seem like this fight is a lot closer to a pick'em. And if you're going to bet the fight, you should bet the dog. And that was just, I'm not going to claim to see that I saw anything because I didn't. It just came as simple as this fight is a lot closer to what should be a pick'em. So bet the dog. Otherwise,
shout out to our man Brad Ski in the chat saying Dustin plus 275.
Yeah, man. Like I'm so happy for the people who went against the steam in this one because, and all the respect to Conor, he he's great, but he's not as great as everybody thinks he is, and everybody he's done so much for the sport. He's brought, even myself, and I was going to say this, I fell for the hype train when he fought Mayweather. I thought for sure that he was going to knock out Mayweather. You know what I mean? So I did. I really honestly did. I thought he was going to sleep him because I watched the Pacquiao fight, and I was like, he's 4 years older than he was against Pacquiao. Conor's at the best he's ever been. Conor's looking like, one of the greatest strikers in all of combat sports coming into that fight. And, then that veil got lifted. And then the other veil got lifted against Khabib. And then, like I said on Wednesday, who counted that Cerrone fight? That fight was a sham, man. Like that fight it didn't mean anything. It was a sham. So who did Cerrone fight after that? Nico Price? Like, come on. Like,
yeah, I'll tell you what's crazy too. It's almost like Conor felt like he was in like some like repeat of that fight. Like when they're up against the cage and Conor's like using the shoulder strikes. I'm like, dude, this is not Cowboy Cerrone. What are you doing, dude? Disengage, get back to like striking distance, get back to the center of the octagon and do what you're doing. Like, I just couldn't believe Conor was like engaging him on the cage, like would reverse and like have the ability to pull away and then would like go back into it. Just very strange stuff and just terrible. This was in my mind. Well, and just I think it's just you can't even argue it. This is far and away the worst Conor McGregor performance we've ever seen. I mean, he had moments where he looked good. Dustin said he hurt him. At one point. But I really did. I thought we were due to see a really prime McGregor here, and it just wasn't the case, man. And whether it be training, whether it be the inactivity, like he said, the year off, apparently he just, I don't know if he just wasn't getting it in the training or what the deal was. But Yeah, it just didn't appear to be the same Conor McGregor, and it definitely wasn't the Conor McGregor that I was expecting tonight. So, but man, let's take no shine away from Dustin Poirier. Like I said earlier, man, just a perfectly executed game plan. Incorporated the calf kicks just magnificently. Killer boxing, and when he hurt Conor, never gave him a chance to recover. Just really jumped on him and took advantage. So, Conor McGregor takes the L. Dustin Poirier, wow, where do we go from here? I mean, it's got to be Bronx or Chandler, right? Let me tell you guys something, okay? And I'm not even saying I'm theorizing. I'm not even saying this is what I think. I'm just telling you guys right now, Khabib, man of his word, the dude's not coming back. No. Okay, we're never getting Khabib. It's not happening. I won't even entertain the thought of it. It's just not happening. So it's either Bronx or it's Michael Chandler. From what Poirier is saying, he's doing any and everything for it not to be Chandler. He doesn't think Chandler deserves the shot. But to me, I Bronx. Who is there left, Al? Is there anyone I'm forgetting?
Fucking Bronx, dude. And I won't even know, like, I'll be ripped in half in that fight because, like, I respect and feel like I love both those guys, their way of fighting. Poirier versus Charles Oliveira for the lightweight belt. You can't get any better than that. Like, that's, as a pure MMA fan, like, that's like, sign me up. You know what I mean? Like, I don't care what the price is. Sign me up. I'm down for that. That would be amazing. And, like, Dustin Poirier has a point. Chandler, he won one fight against a guy that Poirier just beat. Why should he fight for the, for this non-existent belt? Why should he get the shot at the top guy? I feel like Chandler needs to. I'd like to see Chandler have a few more. I'd like to see Chandler Felder. I'd like to see what else is there. Chandler. I won't even say, because I don't want to. I would like to see Chandler Oliveira, but Oliveira should not take that fight. Oliveira's next fight has to be for the belt, and so does Dustin's. So the only way to fix this is they have to fight for the vacant belt. So that's my go. And just to go back, I wanted to talk about the shoulder straight thing and the thing against the cage. That was a lot of, like, it reminded me a lot of, it was such a weird fight, man. It reminded me a lot of Jorge against Nate, where, like, Jorge had multiple times where he could have finished him, but he just didn't. And he just, like, kind of let the fight continue. And I feel like there was multiple times in this fight where Conor had Dustin beat and he just needed to step in and finish him. But Dustin put so much investment in that leg that I guess that Conor was like, he wasn't confident enough to be able to step in and go for the finish. And then he was just toying with him at a point. He had them in the clinch against the cage, but at that point it's just like you're playing right into Dustin's game. And this is what everyone was saying, where, Conor's gonna gas, and Dustin has been in fights. Dustin is, like I said, Dustin has more finishes than Conor does in the UFC. So right away it was like, Dustin's been here before. He knows how to get punched in the face to the point where he's gonna lose and can come back and win. When has Conor ever done that? Conor, I guess Chad Mendes. When was that? Like 2013? Like Conor's been one-way traffic, right? Like, even like I said before on Wednesday, even in the Diaz 2, there was times in that fight where it looked like Diaz could have won that fight. You know what I mean? So that's what it all comes down to now, is like they got to run that back. They got to go Conor, Nate 3, and then see if Conor can get a little bit better, and then he can fight Dustin again for the trilogy. And
yeah, and I tell you what, one thing I'm not too impressed is it's almost felt like Poirier's trying to, like, line up a fight with Nate Diaz. Dude, this is not the time to fight a Nate Diaz coming in. Like, I mean, don't get me wrong. Yeah, I'm taking Poirier in a fight against Nate Diaz. Like, we could go ahead and book that, and I'll definitely be betting Dustin Poirier. And I hope the Nate Diaz fanboys come out in droves to give us a solid line. But that's not the move here, you know. So I don't know, man. Everything has gone up in the air. You know, this is not the narrative. This is not how this was supposed to play out, right? And let's just let that be the transition into the guy who took the biggest L in a whole lot of different ways tonight. The big man, Dana White. Dude, he just did not have a good night, I don't think. You know, I think Conor was supposed to win. He was supposed to entice Khabib out of retirement. We were supposed to run that back, and Dana was supposed to cash a fat check when we get the biggest UFC card of all time in Khabib Conor 2. That's gone. That's never happening. It's a done deal. Khabib's gone. Ain't coming back. Conor, you couldn't even book him in that fight if you wanted to. It wouldn't make any sense at this point. Dang, dude. And we didn't even get into some other aspects where Dana hey, listen, I'll put it like this. Dana White thought he was going to square up to the internet and win. And the internet remains undefeated. Yeah. Dana White, big L. You dug your own grave here, my man. I bet he didn't see that coming. Al, you want to touch on this, dude?
Yeah, you know, it was interesting. This happened before a couple years ago where Dana said he was coming after the piracy guys and all that. He was outside of their house and, you know, he had their phone tapped and all of this absolute nonsense, which is likely just a complete lie and all just like PR for, you know, for getting this stream links down, which didn't work. And lo and behold, the stream links were how most of the people watched this fight because ESPN Plus was not working from about 9:30-ish to you know, to about the fight to probably right now, to be honest. And don't mess with people that are smarter than you. You know what I mean? Like, don't mess with people that know how to work this game. And the only reason that they don't is because you're not giving them a target. And Dana gave them a target. And,
dude,
you know,
the story was so terrible because we even got the follow-up tonight.
Yeah.
There was that guy, and you know, he must have found out that we were watching him because, you know what? He was going to post that straight, and he didn't do it. So he must have known. I mean, does Dana White think like there's one dude out there? Like, I almost wonder if Dana White thinks like the internet's like the UFC, and there's like some guy who like runs it, and he like was going to post a link or something. I don't know, but Dana White, dude, I don't know, man. Maybe get schooled on how this works. This is a severely losing battle, but who knows?
On
Maybe
the biggest stage.
You know, paranoid enough to go, you know what? I better play this safe. Let's get this ordered up. And then they sat there looking at ESPN Plus error loading message. So I don't know, man. Bit of a debacle. Terrible timing on Dana's part on what should have been one of the biggest pay-per-views of all time, which Dana still says top 2 all time. I don't know about that one, man.
Top
but
2 or 3.
The sport's grown tremendously. It really could be. So I don't know, Al. Is there anything you want to throw in here before we wrap this up?
It was so wild. We'll be back. What is it? Overeem Volkov next Super Bowl weekend, right? It's
you got Saturday it
for the Super Bowl. You know what? I don't understand why Corey Sandhagen and Frankie Edgar isn't the freaking headline of that fight. You know what I mean? Like and it's interesting to me how Sandhagen is such a huge favorite. He's like a minus 400 favorite against Frankie Edgar. Like, and don't get me wrong, Sandhagen should win that fight, but minus 400 seems a little bit off. Like, that's a little bit wacky to me, you know?
It's a wide line for sure, but man, just based off how things have been going lately, it might not be that crazy, but you know, it's definitely wide. I mean, the thing that's crazy is, you know, Sandhagen took an L not that one fight ago, right? You know, Aljamain Sterling took him out in about 60 seconds. So yeah, it's an interesting one for sure. So we'll be back then, but until then we got next Saturday off. Gosh, a whirlwind this last week, and here we are pumping the brakes, coming off of a crazy. Which, man, give the people some time to take in this card. This UFC 257 was absolute madness. So, yeah, we'll be back after a short hiatus. Same time, same place. Really late after the fights. For my man Al Mack, I'm Bleed. This has been the recap. We're out of here.